Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So, if you know me, you may know that I'm kind of like a half-ass student. Well, let's just put it this way. I like to get by in school. And by that I mean I like to do the bare minimum I possibly can in order to pass. I'm like a straight B kind of student, you know, get by, half-ass, you know, whatever you want to call it. And the reason I'm like that is because, like many other people, I don't think grades define your intelligence. Now, don't get me wrong, if it's like a class I genuinely like or a class that I need for my major or that will help me in the grand scheme of life, I will try moderately hard and I will pay attention. However, if it is a class that I do not give a shit about, like math or science or math, I wouldn't say I'm a master, but I would like to consider myself pretty good at getting by in school. So today I thought I would give you guys some tips on how I like to get by in school, and maybe it can help you out, you know? So I came up with a list of 10 tips to help you get by in school. Disclaimer, I'm not promoting that you be a shitty student, but if you want to be one like me, stick around, watch the video. Give it a thumbs up if it gives you any, you know, helpful tips. All right, let's do it. Okay, tip number 1, volunteer. Answer questions. If there is one question you know the answer to, even like the stupidest, easiest question you have ever heard, and the one thing you know in the entire world, volunteer and answer that question. Because I guarantee if you volunteer and answer that question, later in the day, when the teacher is, you know, scowling through the class looking for somebody to call on to answer a question about the reading that you didn't read, you will be in the clear because you earlier knew that the sky was blue before anybody else did. Okay, tip number 2. This one's actually kind of a serious tip, and it's fake it till you make it. Now, I know you've heard that like 1,000 times, but it genuinely helps. For example, 2 years ago, I was in an astronomy class, and I do not like science. I think it's hard, it's not interesting, whatever. And I told myself that it was interesting, and I continually told myself every single day, this is interesting, this is space, this is science, this is cool, this is interesting. And I just kept repeating that in my head until one day it actually stuck. I don't know how I did it, but by the end of the semester, I was legitimately interested in astronomy, and I got an A in that class. So fake it till you make it genuinely works. Number 3, small talk. This goes more for like community college, perhaps university, but wouldn't know. But I like to think it's a great idea. So usually on like the first day of class or like the second, I like to, you know, start a small conversation with someone around me, and it could be fake, real, whatever. So it could be something like, oh, I really like your shirt, where'd you get it? Or it could be something like, hey, I didn't see the notes for that one definition, I didn't get it, could you give it to me? And they'll give it to you, and then from there on you can start a little conversation about, oh, the teacher writes so fast, blah, 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 blah. Boom. Then you get their number, and then if you ever miss class, which you will because you're a half-ass student, you can text them, or if you're not paying attention in class, which you won't be because you're a half-ass student, you can text them, get the assignments, see what you're supposed to do, and works like a charm. So I like to always go for getting at least 2 people's numbers like the first week of class, and I always start with a little small convo about something, and then by the end of class I'm like, hey, we should start a group chat. Great idea. You're welcome. Number 4, headphones. Yep, that's it, headphones. I bring headphones with me to class every single day. I will literally leave school if I don't have my headphones, and here's why. Put the headphones in when you're walking to class, you feel large and in charge, you're ready to take on the day, you know? You're playing your pump-up song in your earphones, just like ready to go. And like, I don't know if anyone's read the Click books, but you know your girl Massey Block's like, okay, everybody like get the song Don't You by the Pussycat Dolls in your head, and we're all gonna walk into that beat. And they all like get it in their head, and they like walk into the gym with that beat, and it's honestly pretty fucking dope. So if you got a good song that like pumps you up mentally and you can like walk to the beat, like you'll get more psyched for class, because like I always dread going to class. It's so fucking boring. I'm like sitting in my car like, oh, I don't want to go in. But when I got my headphones in and my jams are playing and I'm like walking into class. Okay, number 5, pick and choose where you're going to be a half-ass. This is what I mean. Every fucking English teacher and their mother knows about SparkNotes. So don't think you're fucking smart for going onto SparkNotes and reading the fucking summary of the chapter instead of actually reading the chapter. Because if your fucking teacher says, I'm gonna give you guys a quiz on this chapter tomorrow, you best believe that none of the questions are gonna be in this fucking SparkNotes summary. This is a lesson I've probably learned the hard way, but you know what? I have grown from it, and I am here to spread the good word to you guys. If you wanna half-ass something, you need to understand how your teacher works. If your teacher fucking gives you quizzes, and they are not from the SparkNotes, then you need to stop fucking reading the SparkNotes and just read the damn book. Yeah, it fucking sucks. No one wants to read. You can be a half-ass, but there's still that one half of the ass where you actually have to do some fucking work. And that's gonna be that half. So if you have to read the fucking book to prove that you are a student that actually does shit, then do that. And then you can half-ass on something else, you know? If you find out that she doesn't fucking give quizzes or check the reading, then there's your fucking opportunity. Don't do the reading. You need to understand how your teacher works. And then when you understand how your teacher works, you can know what things you don't have to do and what things you should do so that she thinks that you're a good student. Okay, number 6 is something really fucking interesting. So I saw this thing on Tumblr like 5 years ago, and I'm sure you guys have maybe seen it, but it's like this little thing and you write it and it looks like true or false, but I'll put a picture of it, but it looks like true or false combined into one word and you don't know which one it is. And I know it sounds stupid, but I actually used it once in one of my classes in high school and I got it right and it was really funny. And that's my tip. Use the little true false thing that looks like could be either one, because if you use that, you know, you never know what you might get away with if you don't know the actual answer. Okay, number 7. This is a great one. Guessing on multiple choice questions correctly. Now, there is a method to guessing on multiple choice questions, and it's usually pretty easy. Now, I'm not saying this always works, but like fucking 90% of the time it does, especially with like math questions. So I'm gonna put a picture of math answers that I made up, and I'm going to show you how you select the correct one. So, for multiple choice, there's usually 4 options. Now, 2 of the options are going to be very similar to each other. And that's how you know that it's one of those 2 options. Now, you have a 50-50 chance from there. So I would just take your best shot and pick one of those 2. But sometimes you have the 2 answers that are similar, and then one of those 2 answers is kind of similar to another answer. So it's probably that one, if that makes sense. Because they're trying to trick you, they're trying to confuse you. So if there's 2 similar answers, it's usually pretty much always gonna be one of those ones. Now you can take that information and make an educated guess, or you can just pick C. Okay, number 8. One of my personal favorites, rephrasing a question into a sentence. Sometimes we see on tests or worksheets or something a question we have no fucking clue what the answer is, and the question will be like, how did these people in the story face struggles? And you have to answer like a paragraph or 2 sentences or something. I always make the first sentence, well, these characters in the story face many struggles, period. Boom, I just got 1 sentence out of the way. Plus, if I have no idea what I'm talking about, writing just that sentence can help my brain flow some great bullshit answers. And I really think that's a great tip because it not only helps you get rid of 1 sentence, but it's also obviously correct because it's the fucking question. It also helps your brain, you know, start thinking of things. Like, I'm writing down, they face many struggles. Now I'm thinking into myself, oh, like, I have to back that up somehow. At least I know where I'm going from to back it up. And I can think of some bullshit answer to write down. You're welcome. Okay, number 9. My suggestion would be take online classes. Now, I know this isn't always possible if you're in like high school or something. Well, maybe it is. I don't know your fucking school. But at least at my community college, you can take online classes. And a lot of people like to stay away from them because they're hard to learn things online. And while that may be true, I think it's a great option if it's a class that you don't really give a shit about. If it's something that has nothing to do with your major and that you're gonna fucking half-ass anyways, might as well take it online because it is so much easier. All the work is in multiple choice format usually, and you can always look at the book literally while you're answering the things. It makes it so much easier, and I highly suggest that you take online classes for subjects that you don't really give a shit about. Disclaimer, do not fucking take online math because it's so fucking hard. But if it's like any other class, go for it. Tip number 10, the last tip, and my personal favorite tip I use all the time to half-ass in school. And that tip would be write in cursive. Somebody told me this once and I was like, what? But I use it all the time now and it's actually fucking fantastic. So say you're in class and the teacher says, okay, just write a quick response to this, or, you know, write a quick paper, write this thing, turn it in, like hand write this thing right now and turn it in. And you're thinking like, fuck, I didn't do the reading. I don't know what I'm writing. Like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what this is about. You're probably gonna end up bullshitting the paper. But if you write in cursive, I think there's a better chance your teacher is not gonna fucking read it. You think of how many fucking papers your teacher is gonna have to read over a small little in-class assignment. I don't think she's gonna be in-depth reading anybody's paper. Think about the kids with shitty handwriting. And if you were a teacher, you wouldn't wanna sit there and fucking try to decipher this handwriting over a small 5-point assignment. I always like to write in cursive because someone told me that if you write in cursive, the teacher's probably not gonna read it. They're just gonna skim over it because it's like too much brain power, as sad as that is. And I actually have found it to be very helpful because anytime I go to bullshit a paper, I just write it in cursive and I always get 100%. And I'm not even kidding. So next time you need to bullshit a paper, I highly recommend writing in cursive because chances are the teacher isn't gonna give it that much thought. They're just gonna glance at it. And as silly as it sounds, it truthfully helps. Bonus tip, if a teacher really likes you, you're going to do better in the class. And that's just the fucking truth. I think teachers have a harder time giving bad grades to students they like. I've noticed that in my community college because I've had a teacher that wasn't particularly fond of me and I didn't do so hot in his class. However, there are other people in the class he tends to really like. And what do you know? They do well in the class. I especially notice with English classes, it's not even really if you're like a good writer, it's if you write in the style that the teacher likes. And that is so hard to do because every fucking English class you take pretty much is gonna have a different teacher, unless you like happen to have the same teacher twice. But in the grand scheme of things, you're always gonna have a different teacher that's gonna like a different style of writing. So take everything you fucking learned in that English class and throw it out the window because the next class is gonna be completely different. So I suggest you try to get in with the teacher. Talk to them about something, and it doesn't even have to be a fake thing, you know? You could genuinely try to befriend them, and it'll honestly really help in the end. As corrupt as that is, it's fucking true. So, all right, that's all the tips I have for getting by in school right now. I'm pretty great at it, if I do say so myself. Hopefully I can think of some more if you guys like this kind of video and leave you some more tips. Don't forget to comment if you have any fucking great ass school tips to get by and half-ass your way through the American education system. We can have a big old discussion about how to be fucking half-ass students. I often think if I regret not doing so well in high school and not having the greatest of grades and being a straight B student. And you know what? I don't, because I had fucking fun. So let me know if any of these tips worked for you, and I will see you next time. And just remember, if you are a half-ass student, it's fine.
I am running faster. I am running out of sight. Tonight I am starting over, running at the speed of light. I am running faster.